We're here in the wonderfully sterile Sony booth at a Gamescom with Kellee here, who's made a journey across the pond, and of course we're going to talk about Journey. So, could you tell us a little bit about the last couple of months with Journey? You've gone into some beta testing and stuff like that. What's that been like?
Oh, that's been really fantastic, actually. Journey is our first online title, and so our first online beta, and it was just really cool to be able to interact so directly and immediately with our players and get their feedback and then turn it around and test new things out in the game.
So are there any specific things where you've seen the players have done stuff that you sort of had to sort of go back and sort of work on the game in certain areas?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing I think players noticed during the beta testing was the controls. We started off with just using the camera on the motion control, and then based on player feedback and sort of the way they were using it, we implemented some different control schemes, including using the thumbstick and then trying the inverted y-axis and stuff like that, and just getting their feel for it.
So in that sense, is it more of a, because your titles have been more experiences, is this more of a sort of a gaming, more of a gamer, or a typical game experience in that sense that you sort of, you're looking at how players use it? Because I think both Flowers and Flow were sort of, you know, just experience it and don't really worry about how it controls and things like that.
Well, it's interesting because I think because the final games that we make appear to be so simple that it's easy to think that that's, you know, the way Flower is today is the way we thought of it on the first day, and then we just spent 2 years executing it, which is not the case at all. It didn't take 2 years to execute Flower. It takes a long time just to get to that core experience, and oftentimes it's about trying out a lot of different mechanics and playstyles and visuals and audio, and then stripping everything that's unnecessary away from that and really focusing on the things that are working. So in all of our games, we have a really active playtesting process. We have people coming into our office usually once a week or once every other week to get feedback. And so what was really cool about the online beta is we kind of got to do that in a really concentrated period of time with thousands of people instead of just 1 or 2 people in our offices.
So when all the feedback from the beta came in and you saw how people played it and you saw the issues that might occur, did that put you back in your schedule, or did you get much more to do, or did it sort of, oh yeah, we had the right ideas, now we just need to?
It didn't impact our schedule too much. It was there certainly got a lot of validation for the core gameplay experience, which was really fantastic and encouraging. And of course, there's just the technical aspect of the online system itself, which we discovered to be in a really good place. The people who participated in the beta will probably be familiar with the sort of first build that we released had a huge crash in it, but from then on it was pretty good, and so that was actually really encouraging. It made us feel like we'll get to the finish line okay.
It's nice to have that crash before you launch the game.
Exactly. Yeah, you want it to happen during your beta.
So if we go back to like when you'd finished Flower and you sort of thought, oh, let's do a new game. What was the sort of the core idea that's sort of driven Journey to where it is today?
Well, the core idea of Journey was starting with this really kind of basic question of what if we created an online experience in which connection was the central aspect of the game, and then this setting and the themes of being a lone traveler in this vast desert environment evolved out of that, and those sort of 2 themes of being on your own journey and yet having this possibility of running into another individual on their own journey, which is kind of like life in a way, evolved into the game you see today.
So what would you say is like the common thread between the games that you've done before and this one, and what's different?
I think the common thread through all our games is the mission of that game company, which is to create experiences that explore different emotions in video games and create experiences that we feel can be relevant and accessible to anyone, regardless of their background or age or whether they're a gamer or not.
And what makes it different? Obviously, the connection part.
Yeah, the connection part, and also Journey has much more of a story than our previous titles. There's a strong narrative tying the entire experience together. We still leave it open to interpretation and open to discovery by the player. Depending on how you play, is how much of the story you'll uncover, so that again, anybody, regardless of where they're from, can hopefully get some meaning out of it.
But that's an interesting thing, though, because narrative is different for different people. I think Flower had a very strong narrative, even though it didn't sort of force itself on you. Would you agree with that?
Well, that was certainly our intention, so that's really great to hear.
But I think that's something that people are sort of debating. What is narrative in games? Is it sort of a story that's been written before the player, or is it what the player experiences and sort of experiences themselves inside themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we really are interested in narrative as far as interactive experiences is that an important component of an interactive experience is that you are presenting, as a designer, an experience to a person who is then bringing their own background and experiences to that, and that's where the magic lies. And in those combinations, it's almost like our two lives are connecting in that way. So when I think that game company thinks of story, there's that consideration as well, leaving spaces in the narrative open to interpretation and open for someone to bring their own background to the story, to take away whatever meaning they feel is relevant to them.
So you briefly touched that the beta didn't impact your schedule that much. What is your schedule right now, and when do we get to play Journey, the full experience?
It's not too far off, but we don't have a release date yet.
So soon. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.